Hi, it's Sarah, and welcome to Coffee and Crochet with Sarah. I have a table just full of things to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about how to get organized, and it's a question I get often. How do you organize your yarn and your patterns and all the things that you need to do associated with crochet? And so I'm going to show you some of the techniques that I use to help stay organized. That doesn't mean I'm always organized, but I am one of those people that is, I'm not flexible. And I know that I need to be more flexible. I am a scheduled person. I like to know when things are happening, and when things are not happening that way, I need to reschedule and pencil you in. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to get our yarn and everything organized. What I do anyway, and it might work for you and it might not. We'll see. We're also going to talk about a new yarn that came in this week that I'm very excited about. And then we're also going to talk about some new crochet patterns and some new crochet videos. And then the last thing we'll talk about is the shirts and bags, and we'll cover that at the end. So I want to say good morning to everybody. I see Karen, Christine, Tina, Audra, Angela, Marlene, Amanda, and Jane. And there's Tammy. Let me see if I can move this down. There we go. Good morning to all of you. Thank you for popping in early. Well, I've got my coffee cup today. So if you're here today, go ahead and just clink in. And remember, you don't have to drink coffee. You can drink whatever you want to. As a matter of fact, someone asked me the other day what my favorite candy was. And I said, I'm not a big candy eater, but one of my favorite things to eat is plain old M&M type candies. No nuts, no caramels, no crispies, none of that. And the reason that I like to eat M&Ms is because the old melts in your mouth, not in your hands. You can put a little bowl with about 25 or 30 100 M&Ms in a bowl. You can work your crochet project and not worry about your hands getting yucky on your crochet project. Unless your hands sweat. Now, some people do have sweaty hands. I don't. I am super dry. Maybe it's because of medications or where I live, but I'm always dry, so I don't have the sweaty hand issue. But anyway, M&Ms are my favorite. Plain M&Ms. All right, let's see if anybody else has popped in. There's Carrie and Teresa, Paula, Vicky, Carol, Rita, Tina, Heather. Let's see, Layla, Kimberly, Christine, and Barbara. Barbara said she's eating her lunch. It must be a different time zone, huh? All right, so if you haven't clinked in, go ahead and clink in. I got my coffee time mug. And we're going to get right into our conversation about how I stay organized. All right, so I've got some things here, not a couple, a few. So what I do, there's a couple of things that you can do. All right. If you're someone who likes to put everything on the computer, there's lots of spreadsheets that you can use. And I do use those. As a matter of fact, all my bookkeeping is done on an Excel spreadsheet. But what I like to do is I'm an old-fashioned person, and I like to write everything down. And so what I do is I keep 3 pens, a black, a blue, and a red, okay? And so I go to the Dollar Tree or Dollar General or Walmart or someplace like that, and I buy an inexpensive calendar, okay? And then, see all those scribbles in there? I write everything down. I'm not going to show it to you because I don't want you to know what's going on yet. I write it all in black, and I can show you. Let's see, one I've gotten already. There's a few notes on this one in black. Okay, so what I do first is I write it out in black. That's pen number 1. Then when I'm going back through and going, I don't want to do that particular design just yet, or maybe I want to switch it around, I'll grab my blue pen and I'll mark it out and I'll write under it in blue. And that tells me I changed my mind, but it's not final yet. Okay? Then as I'm going through, because I plan everything, all my crochet pattern designs and what yarns I need and all of that stuff 3 to 5 months in advance. I try to take note what the holidays are, what's coming up, and sometimes I miss something and I have to add it in. And that's where going to the blue pen works, because I can add in things with the blue that I didn't add in with the black to sort of keep me going, okay? So now I've got black and blue. The last thing that I do, and I'll show you a quick look at this one again, is you'll see there are some red marks. Okay, I'm not going to show you, just real quick. What I do with the red pen is I make my final decisions. I'll make a list of what yarns that I need, or what yarns have come in that were sent in that I can work with and have to come up with designs. And I'll cross out black and blue and put red. That tells me that's my final decision for the most part, because nothing's ever written in stone. I can always change those things, okay? But that's what I do. I start with my black. I mark with my blue to try to, see if I want to decide on that or not. And then I make my final decisions and write it in red. And the reason that I go and get this inexpensive book, they're usually like, you can get them at the Dollar Tree or Walmart or different places, for $1 or $2. And you can write all over it. It's got, and one thing I do try to do, let me open this up, is get one that has the lines in it so that I can write on it and make notes, okay? That's one thing that I do. The other thing that I do is I buy some of these. And you can see, what was that? Oh, I didn't have a price on it. These are just your basic, notebooks. These are also less than $1. And what I do is when it's back to school time, and they have these for like 19 cents at Staples or someplace like that, Walgreens, I get a bunch of them, get like 10 or 12. And this is what I keep with me and jot all my notes in. And I do the same thing with these. I start with my black and I write out the design. And let me show you something. Sometimes it begins like this with a drawing. Okay, that's a pillow that I want to make into a pajama bag. Sometimes I just sketch out a drawing, and you can see I did that in black. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'll take my blue pen and I'll start messing with the yarn that I'm going to use. Okay, and I'll see, okay, how many inches across will this work in this particular stitch, and I make all those notes. Okay, and then I'll also jot down what yarn I need so that if I have it, I can find it, or if I have to go and pick it up, or if I know some is coming in. All right, and then I take that red pen and I go through and do stitch counts and I mark it with my red pen. Now, you're probably wondering why I don't use a pencil with an eraser. And the reason that I don't do that is because I change things all the time. And I would end up with great big holes in my paper from all the eraser marks. And so this system works really good for me. Now, it may not work for you, but it is what I do. And so I go to the Dollar Tree or wherever and get like a $1 or $2 calendar that I can write on, and inexpensive notebooks and pens. And I also get these when there's back to school sales. They start around mid-July. Watch your stores. Towards the end of July, you can get a lot of these for like 25 cents. And you can get a whole bag of pens, and you can usually get ones that have all 3 colors. Usually there's not as many red pens in there, and it's really difficult to find red pens these days. I don't know, when we were growing up, you had to check your work all the time. So I don't know if they use the red pens in schools anymore, but I love them. That tells me that's the last thing I marked in there. That doesn't mean I'm not going to go back in and do some changing, but I might. Now, something you might want to get, and my husband found this for me, Coffee Then Adulting All Year Long 2020. We were at Bed Bath & Beyond. I was picking up some sheets. They were having a sale, And even though I have queen size pillows, I want king size pillowcases. For some reason, I cannot stand my pillowcase not going over the edge of my pillow. It's just a thing. So I buy the king size for my queen size pillows. Anywho, we were at Bed Bath & Beyond for their sale, and my husband found this. It was $4.99. And it's super cute. And if this is the kind of planner you want to get, these are neat. It's got tabs for each month. And the front, it's got all kinds of stickers. You know, and, oops, it's got the lines you can write in. You can see I've already started writing in there. It's got notes that you can make. And so if you want to spend a little more money, and Bed Bath & Beyond, and you're going to find all the calendars right now because we're heading into February. Most people have already bought their 2020 calendars. You're going to find them now. And one thing also about these inexpensive ones is, even though it's a 2020, it also has January in the back, if I can get it open for you. And then you'll find all these as well. And that lets you forecast, you know, what you want to do. Now, the reason this is so important to me, I mean, I've got these inexpensive tools and pens that I can keep track of. And a lot of times I will transfer that onto my Excel spreadsheets or my calendar in my email so that I can keep track. I don't want to plan a big pattern video on the same day I have to go to the dentist. I don't want to plan a tiny little video on a day that I don't have anything going on. So I like to try to organize that out. And that's why sometimes I move things around. Now, one thing you can also do is, if you're on Ravelry.com, some of you aren't, some of you are, some people love it, some people hate it, but you can put all your yarn in a yarn stash on Ravelry. You also have your libraries that you can add all your patterns to. And a lot of times you can just put, you can like them in your favorites or put them in your quay or however you want to do it. And then when you're ready to go back and print them off, you can go there and get them. And so I wanted to mention that as well. So, how do I organize my yarn? I know that's probably what you're thinking. I don't have it all written down. I don't. And there's a lot of yarn that I forget I have until I go through looking for something else. But as far as in here, I try to organize it by weight and by color and then by fiber. And so I have like all my worsted weight number 4 together, all my worsted weight or lightweight number 3 together, all my chunky weights and things like that. I have the space because I have this room dedicated to being able to do that. But that doesn't mean I'm organized all the time, because what you don't see behind me is that I also have yarn and more yarn organized up the walls in these other cabinets. Like you notice I don't have a lot of variegated behind me. In a cabinet over there, I have all my variegated yarn and things like that. So I write things down. I keep track of where I put things, but I don't always remember. When I get yarn sent to me, I always write it down in here though, because they're telling me that they're ready for me to write a pattern for it or something, review it or whatever. Okay, so if you want to try to stay organized the Sara way, which is the old-fashioned way, 3 pins in 3 different colors, and you don't have to use my color choices. This is from my old school teaching days, black, blue, and red. And inexpensive calendar, inexpensive notebooks, and if you want to get a little more tricky, a book like this. And this is the time to get these things because we're into 2020. And in the end of January, beginning of February, all the calendars go on sale. That's why I always talk about it this time of year. A lot of people are like me. They get frustrated when they're outside their comfort zone. Hate to admit that to you, but I'm an over-organized person when it comes to my crochet business. I have yarn I have to decide on. I have to design patterns. I have to write out the patterns. Those have to be tested. Then I have to do photography that has to be edited. Then I have to do video that has to be edited. And then I have to put them all together, and all of that has to be edited. And then my blog has to be edited. And it can be extremely overwhelming just to get out a simple pattern if I'm not organized. All right? And those are just some tips that I do. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to be organized. All right? All right, let's talk about a brand new yarn. I'm so excited about this. It came in this week, and this is huge. And you can probably find this in your Walmarts now. It's out there. I've seen it a couple places. Mine actually doesn't have it. And I went to 2 different Walmarts, and neither one of them had it yet. And when I asked the lady what about it, she's like, yeah, I don't know. Because they don't really have department managers at Walmarts anymore. It's just stalkers, and they just put out what comes in. Okay, so this is, I want to make a blankie. It is a number 6 super bulky yarn. See how thick that is? And on this cake, this is a cake. Isn't that pretty? Okay, you get 28 ounces, which is 437 yards. All right. It's 100% polyester, machine washable, and machine dryable. Okay, and it says to use an N13, which is a 9mm crochet hook. I'm probably going to use the 10mm just because I want it to be just a little bit more loose with what I'm doing. And I have 2 of these. And I'm going to try it out. Oh, the color. Let's see. It's called Mizzle. Looks like denims to me. Mizzle is what the color's coming up. All right, so number 6, super bulky, 28 ounces, 437 yards, 100% polyester, machine washable, and machine dryable. Now, when I make a blanket, and this is just my opinion, you can do whatever you want. Remember, I always say you do what works best for you. Even when it comes to my patterns, do what works best for you. And so when I wash anything made with blanket yarn, I put it in my wash machine with warm water with just a tiny bit of Dawn dish soap. And I know that sounds crazy, but I love that stuff because it will clean and it's gentle. And it just takes a couple of drops. All right. And then I use about a half a cap of my fabric softener. Sometimes I buy Snuggle, sometimes I buy Downy. Whichever one is on sale at the time is the one I buy when I need it. And I like both of them. Okay, so I'll put a little bit of that in there, and I'll run it through on gentle, and then I do not put it in the dryer. Now, I know it says you can, but my thinking is this. The dryer is going to beat it up. And if I can make it last as long as possible, I will, because I put a lot of work into making a blanket out of this. Okay, so what I do is I'll either, if it's a nice sunny day, I'll drape it over the balcony on my back deck, or I'll lay it over across a couple of chairs, or I might just lay it across the dryer if I'm doing another load of laundry. All right, now it does say you can put it in the washer and dryer, and again, you do what you want to do. And look for it at your local Walmart. Like I said, mine doesn't have it yet. And I also noticed that, there we go. I mean, it's just super soft, and hopefully mine will get it in, because I got, this one is the blue variegated. Like I said, it says it's called Mizzle. I also want to get the black variegated because I think it reminds me of a zebra. And I want to make 2 blankets. Now, the size of the blanket, let me see. It says you can knit a 42 by 42 inch blanket with 1 cake, or you can crochet a 33 by 33 inch. And that would make a nice lapgan or maybe a baby blanket. That's why it says blankie. Well, I've got 2. Pull it out of the box. And I'm going to make a blanket. And I have a different pattern that I want to try opposed to what they have. And so don't worry, I'll get it out there for you when I get it ready, okay? All righty, are you ready to see what's new this week at Posh Pooch Designs? I'm trying to see if I missed a question. Okay, I don't see any questions. All right. Oh, Susan said she made mermaid tails out of the blanket yarn. I bet those were comfy. Okay, now let me grab a sip of my coffee. Now, this blanket behind me, this is my Scrap Happy blanket. This one is much loved and much used because it's the perfect size to fit across the back of my couch where my dogs sit. It keeps the hair off my couch and it gives them a spot to look out the window. Now, we updated the pattern with a bunch of new pictures, and we did a brand new video for this blanket. So you can find it on the blog, you can find it on Ravelry, and you can also find it on my YouTube channel. If you, one thing I try to remind everybody is if you're looking for things on my YouTube channel, just go there. You can find the link for it in the About section on my Facebook page, and just click on it, and then up the top it says playlists. Okay, all you have to do to find out if I have a pattern for something is click those playlists. I keep lists of all my patterns so that you can find them, and they're all categorized. Okay, and that's what this is, our Scrap Happy blanket. I pulled it one way. And the neat thing about this blanket, it is completely adjustable for any size. You can make it as wide as you want, and you can make it as long as you want. So you can make it a baby blanket, a lapgan, or a king-size bedspread, whatever you want to do. And the idea behind it is to put together all your leftover yarns and come up with a beautiful blanket. And one of the things that always happens when I do a scrap blanket, because I have leftover yarns all the time. Now, I do try to stay within the fiber. If I'm using an acrylic, I don't add cotton, because when you go to wash it, they don't wash up the same. Okay, so I try to stay within my, if I'm using all wool or alpaca or whatever, I try to stay in the same fiber content. But this one I did all in solids. Now you can use, acrylic stripes, you can use prints, you can use, variegated, whatever you want to do. But what always happens is I put these colors together, and in my mind I'm thinking these don't go together. And then when I see them all together on a blanket, I'm like, oh, that is beautiful. And so, you learn how some colors go together better than others. So it's kind of a, you learn a couple of things by doing it. And it's a really simple pattern. One row is a single, and then single, triple, single, triple, single, triple. And then you turn and you do half double crochets all the way across. Then you turn and do and repeat. And it's super easy, mindless pattern. All right, now, what else we did this week was our Valentine bag. I put my little puppy in there. All right. I did mine red on one side and pink on the other, so you could see both colors. I wanted to do it all in red, but videoing dark red is really difficult. And you can even see with my camera here, it's kind of not liking that red. So we'll switch it back over to the pink. And it's a nice size. It's about 8 by 8, I think. You can fit lots of candy and goodies and babies inside. And I think these would be fun for any age. If you go and visit a nursing home, you can put some slippers in there and give it to someone there, or some sweets that they might like. You can use them for kids in classrooms and Sunday schools and, I don't know, Girl Scout troops, or you can just give them to people that you love. Put perfume, jewelry, or whatever. And even if you fill it with candy and they've eaten it all, they've got this fun little thing to remind them that you love them. Isn't that cute? There we go. For some reason, I'm putting it off camera. There we go. All right. Now, the other thing that we did were the scrubbies. And it's kind of a funny story. I forgot I had them. I made a bunch of them when I first got married, and I don't know if those were still the same ones. I just celebrated my 38th wedding anniversary. So the center is the plastic scrubby. They kind of look like fried eggs. I suppose you could take this yellow one and just do it all white and it would be like a fried egg. And I love these because you can scrub out the center of a pan or the edge of your bathtub or something. And then you've got the cotton edge that you can finish. I sort of squish it up like this and sort of clean like this. And so I've got my scrubby here and then my cloth on the other. And I love these. And I was cleaning out my drawer in the kitchen because I wanted to get rid of a bunch of old towels that were smelly or dirty or whatever. And so I threw a bunch of them away, and then one of these fell out. I think there were a couple of them. And I remembered how much I loved them. And so we went ahead and updated the pattern. This pattern I wrote is like 20 years old. And so we updated that and got a blog. It's on Ravelry and it's on YouTube. So you can have a written or a video pattern of that. All right, so, and these are great scrubbies. And if you know someone who's getting married or moving out to their own apartment for the first time or something, and you want to give them some towels or something, throw a couple of these in there. They will love them. All right, now, the last thing I want to talk about before we go is the shirts behind me. A lot of people have been asking about the Coffee and Crochet with Sara shirts. And so I listed them on Etsy. And where you can find them is if you are on Facebook, go to my albums and it'll say Coffee and Crochet with Sara items. And it'll have the bag, which I've got over here. And I think in the listing, there's only 8 bags left. And so this is the bag. It's a nice big bag. It's cotton muslin. There we go. And you'll find that. And then you'll also find 4 listings. One listing is for the yellow one is for the white, and one is for the pink. And you can order those from size small all the way up to extra large. Then if you need the 2X or 3X, that's a separate listing. And I had to do it that way because the shirts are a little more expensive for the larger sizes. And so the way that works is if you order a bag, you'll get it probably sent out in the next 2 days because we can get those done relatively quickly. If you order a shirt, the way that's going to work is because I can't afford to have a big inventory. I'm not a big company like Walmart or Hobby Lobby or something. And so I can't afford to go out and buy a bunch in every size. And so the way we're going to do that is when you order it, then I'm going to go and pick it up, the shirt itself. And then I'll take, I've got 4 or 5 I need to take over now. Let's see, 2, I think 2. Actually, the other 2 haven't paid yet. Got to pay first. But anyway, once you order those, I'll pick up the shirts from the manufacturer, and then I'll take those over to have them heat screened. And each one of the shirts have to be done individually. And so they have a sheet that has the heat press on it. And then they have to go in the heat press and get attached. And then they have to cool. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do this like once a week. Probably all that are ordered through the week will be taken on Wednesday to be put together. And then they'll get out on Thursday. And I'm going to have a limited number of those. So if you want them, get them this week. The shirts themselves for the small through the extra large are $25. The 2X and 3X are $27. And that has to pay for the shirt, the screen print itself, because I have to pay for those individually, and then the person to put them on. But there's free shipping, so you don't have to pay shipping. And so that's the way that's going to work. And I only ordered so many of the sheets themselves. Is each shirt, each bag has a separate sheet of screen printing that has to be put on. So I hope I've explained that well. And so what we tried to do is keep the price down. Just the cost of the shirt, the cost of the sheet, and the cost to pay the person to put it on the shirt, and then free shipping. So anyway, that's the way that's going to work. And I only ordered so many of the sheets. So once they're gone, they're gone. I do have in the works, I'm talking with my son about how to order. You have to have a special thing in order to screen print on a mug. And I really want to, I'm thinking maybe this fall, maybe I can get some coffee cups made, but they've got to like shrink it, and it's a whole process. The truth of the matter is I don't really understand how it all works, okay? And so I'm just kind of going with the flow, and we'll just do it that way. If you have any questions, like this gray one that I bought, this one is a V-neck, and it's a different color than what we're offering. You can always ask. I can see what I can find. And the colors that we chose are ones that are readily available. But sometimes if the manufacturer's out, and you've ordered, I'll let you know. That way, if you don't want another color, we can cancel the order, or you can choose another color. But the bottom line is I can't afford to have, this wide assortment of items that I'm not sure people are going to want, basically, as far as like a bunch of colors and stuff. All right. So you can find the Etsy link underneath my video on YouTube in the bottom where that little arrow is, or it says see more. You just click that and you'll see where it says find me and my patterns at these links. There's an Etsy link, and you can just click that Etsy link, and then it'll take you to my Etsy shop, and you can click on either you'll see some of the things, or there'll be a category over on the right side that says coffee and crochet items, and you can click on that. If you want to find it on Facebook, just go to my photo albums, and there's an album, and it has all the links in there as well. So you've got a couple of ways to find it, or you can just go to my Etsy shop, Posh Pooch Designs Etsy shop, and you'll find the category there as well. Or you can just Google it and it'll come up. Don't forget, Google is your friend. Anyway, we've gone over our time. I just wanted to tell you how you can get those, and there is a limited amount. And so if you want them, they're there for you. If not, it's okay. You won't hurt my feelings if you don't want them. And also, every person who wins our monthly giveaway once a month, and of course next week we'll announce what February's is, you'll also receive one of our bags in your giveaway, okay? So keep that in mind. If you may not, maybe you don't like the yarn I chose or what was sent in for the giveaway, but you might want the bag, I also have a couple of them that aren't perfect, where like maybe one of the corners didn't print well or something, and I might do some spot giveaways on those, just because they're still a great bag, even though there's a little corner that's off or something, and I still want people to have them, okay? So, whoa, that's a lot of information. Well, thank you all for being with me today, and I hope that you'll get a little bit organized like I try to be. If not, hey, it's not for everybody. If my tips work, they do. If they don't, it's okay. All right, I want everyone to have a joyous week, because remember, joy is my word of the year. Choose joy. Have a great day, a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.